We are looking at chapter number 3, which is constitutional design. Constitutional design, Samvidhan Nirman. So what we have seen earlier is that democracy, the rulers are not free to do whatever they want, whatever they like or wish. There are certain basic rules that we as the citizen and the government we choose, they have to follow. So who does that? Constitution. Constitution defines and determines the rights of the citizens and the powers the government has and how should the government function. So the question arises is, why do we need a constitution? How is constitution made? How are they designed? What are the values that shape up any constitution, in especially the states which are called as democratic? And once the constitution is made, can the constitution be changed or altered? What are the conditions? So all this discussion will start with the recent instance of South Africa. Now South Africa is a country, or you can say the South Africans, they made a constitution, they designed a constitution, and then we will also talk about the Indian constitution, how it was made. So let us start with the South African constitution. But before that, we will talk about Nelson Mandela. Now he is a very respected leader of South Africa and also respected all over world. So what happened? There are certain things, apartheid. This is the apartheid was the main thing which was there in South Africa. So apartheid was the name of a system of racial discrimination unique to South Africans. Now what happens here is, the country which is South Africa, which falls below, or you can say bottom of South Africa, that is the whole Africa, South Africa is the bottommost country. So here there was apartheid, that is the English people or the white people, they, when they came as traders, etc., or they made a colony, now the natives which were originally black, the whites started this apartheid, that is they started racially discriminating with respect to colors. So this system of apartheid was very oppressive for the natives, those were blacks in South Africa. And the main thing was, this was their country, but they were forbidden from living in white areas or going into certain places. Like this is a picture of a beach, and it is clearly written here that blacks are not allowed, only the whites can take this beach into their advantage. Now since 1950s, the blacks, the colored, and the Indians are generally brown, blacks we know, and colored are the other combination, or you can say another color which are not white. So racially black, colored, and Indians, they fought against the apartheid system which was prevailing in South Africa. And the leader was, or you can say the leadership was, the apartheid, against the apartheid, African National Congress, ANC. This was the basic, or you can say umbrella organization that led the struggle against the policies of segregation, against the oppression of the South Africans, against the apartheid. So in 1964, Nelson Mandela, he is Nelson Mandela, and 7 other leaders, because they were fighting against this oppression, they were sentenced to life imprisonment in 1964 for daring to oppose the white regime who are doing this apartheid or apartheid regime in his country. So when this all happened, after 28 years of imprisonment, Nelson Mandela came out and the country went to a new constitution, towards a new constitution. Why it happened? Because the protest and the struggles which were going on against the apartheid, it has increased, and the white regime has to bend down. They have to, because of the ongoing protests and struggles, they need to change their policies. And now Nelson Mandela, after 28 years of imprisonment in Rebon, there was an island near South Africa only, Rebon Island, and he was being imprisoned there. After 28 years, he was being released from the jail. At the midnight of 26 April 1994, this is a very important date, democracy was adopted as a form of government in South Africa, and after 2 years of deliberation, a constitution came out which gave the South Africans, the citizens, the most extensive rights available in any country. This is very important. Now so why we are learning South African constitution, or why we are trying to understand what happened, because this is the constitution which gave the extensive rights. No other constitution has given this much of right to the citizens of the country. This country is known as now as a Rainbow Nation. And why it is called as a Rainbow Nation? Because as we saw, black, white, colored and Indians, that is the brown people, they all live in the same country under this constitution. So there are different ethnicity, different people who are natives, who have come from other countries. They live, I don't say happily, but they live under this umbrella of constitution. And this is why these ethnicity or different people live together. That is why it is called as a Rainbow Nation. Rainbow Nation. Indradhanush. Rainbow is Indradhanush. Now our question is, why we actually need a constitution? So what happens in South Africa is, when the white regime decided that okay, we are going to give a pathway to constitution, but these whites were in dilemma, or they were afraid that when the power or the blacks will come, whatever they have done to the blacks, that is, they have segregated them, they have oppressed them, even killed them. So all these things happened, and they were they were scared that something would happen to them if blacks would come into power. They may be killed, or their property may be taken. So there have to be some trust, and whatever is talked about, whatever has been discussed, it needs to be written in some or the other form. And this written form of gaining the trust of different communities, different ethnicities, was the constitution only. So why we need a constitution? A constitution or Samvidhan becomes necessary because, first of all, it generates a degree of trust and coordination that is necessary for different kind of people to live together. Because if you go to any country, you will find different kind of people, different religion, different castes, different creed. So there has to be a trust, and who is going to make the trust? What is the guideline? What are the regulations? What to follow? Constitution needs to be followed. The constitution also specifies that the government which is being chosen, the government that has been elected or it is being constituted, who will have power to take which decisions. First of all, who will be what, and whatever he may be, that is in the power, what decisions he may take. He cannot take everything, or some decisions which are not acceptable to the citizens, or which are beyond certain regulations, and this regulation is constitutions. Then this constitution is, you can say, a kind of a periphery or the boundary that it lays down the limits on the power of the government. Say this is the government, because government is what? Government are people only, you and me only, and the leaders become the government. So now the powers of government, the limitation is this, that the constitution decides a limit, and you cannot go out of the constitution limits, what constitution has specified. And also it tells us about the rights. What are the rights of a citizen? So if you are a citizen, what are your rights? It is defined by the constitution. So let us make the people and the government together, because now this is a periphery. This periphery defines government limits and also the rights of the citizen, and also it expresses the aspirations, the requirement, the thoughts of the people about creating a good country, a good state, and a good society. So what we just saw, that there are something to be written down whenever you have a country which has come out of a conflict, which has come out of colonization, which have come out of some or the other thing, and now they want democracy or they want some constitution. Then the written down rules of the game or of the regulations, everyone, whether it is someone is in power or someone normal citizen, they should abide by these rules. And these rules, they lay down how the rulers are chosen in the future. Then these rules also determine that the elected government, what are their powers and what they can do, what they cannot do. And also the rights of the citizen is defined by whom? Constitution, right? And the rules will work only if the winner cannot change them very easily. If the constitution can be changed by anyone, there is no point. So this is what South Africans did. They agreed to basic rules. They agreed that these rules will be supreme on the top, and that no government will be able to ignore these rules. And these basic rules, or you can say these sets of basic rules, are called as constitution of any country, right? And this constitution is not only for a country. If you have, say, a society, if you have a cooperative, even in your family, when you sit together, there are certain rules you need to follow, to abide by. Even in a society, that where should be the parking, how the people are going to manage their garbage, how the water should come, all these are being decided by a society. So there are certain rules, regulations. So this is rules and regulation that everyone has to abide. And for a country, there is a constitution by which everything will be determined, and the citizens and the power, or the people in power, should abide by it. So what we saw, that this constitution gives us a degree of trust, coordination among people. Second, it specifies how the government will be constituted, what will be the power, who is going to take what decisions, then the limits for the power of government and the rights of citizen, and finally the aspiration of people, that how to make or create a good society. Now there is one very important thing, that let me say this is a constitution. Constitution is nothing but a book, a dastavez, something written in the form of a book. So a constitution is there. So all countries that have constitution, they are not necessarily democratic. So if your country, say country 1 has a constitution, this one, and you say that my country is democratic, it may not be true. But every democratic country will have a constitution. So if your country is C2N, it is a democratic country, then your country ought to have a constitution. So again, let me tell you, this is a very important thing, that all countries that have constitution, they are not necessarily democratic, but all countries which are democratic, which say they are democratic, will have a constitution. So how did this constitution was constituted? How was it being made? So in 1928, we are talking about India. In 1928, Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders, they drafted a constitution of India. So this was just a draft. In 1931, there was Indian National Congress. Indian National Congress is the party which actually led the independence movement of India. So Indian National Congress, there was a session called Karachi session, because it happened in Karachi. So there was a resolution being passed here, and the resolution was basically that how the independent India, that is what they were fighting for, when the country will be independent, how the Indian constitution will look like. So what we have taken from, because constitution has been written by around 300 people of our country, so factors contributed to the making of our constitution. So what we took good things from various good constitutions. That is, from French Revolution we took what are the ideals specifically related to the freedom of various things, like freedom of expression, etc. Then the parliamentary democracy, what is being practiced in Britain, this we took from there. And from United States we took the Bill of Rights, and from Russia, or the socialist revolution in Russia, we took the socialist thoughts. So this happened. Constituent Assembly or Samvidhan Sabha was made in July 1946. There was elections held for making or constituting the Constituent Assembly. The drafting of constitution was done by this Constituent Assembly only. Who was the chairman of this Constituent Assembly? Dr. Rajendra Prasad Sahab. The first meeting of this assembly was held in December 1946. But after that, the country got divided into India and Pakistan. The Constituent Assembly also got divided. The Assembly adopted the Constitution on 26 November 1949. But there is a difference. Please understand, the Assembly adopted the Constitution on 26 November 1949, but it came to effect on 26 January 1950. So this 26 January 1950, it was the day when it came into effect, and that is why we celebrate January 26 every year on the Republic Day occasion. That is the Republic Day, Ganatantra Divas, the Republic Day we celebrate. The Constituent Assembly worked in a systematic, open and consensual manner. That is, every thought was involved, and every member of the committee, they gave their idea, and they were open for various other ideas also. So this is how Constituent Assembly worked. First of all, what are the basic principles? They were decided and they were agreed upon. Then a drafting committee, which was chaired by the great Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, it prepared the drafting constitution for discussion. Now the draft or prarup or khaka or blueprint is ready. After that, when it came to discussion, more than 2000 amendments or changes were considered. So as I said, that 26th November 1949, it was adopted, but 26th January 1950 it came into effect, which is our Republic Day also, January 26th. And how many members were involved? 299 members were there in this Constituent Assembly. And then we talked about the drafting committee, which was chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. They prepared a draft situation of constitution, and also there were discussion of several rounds. And this was the draft constitution, and discussion was taken. And after this discussion, 2000 amendments or changes were done. So 114 days it took. For 3 years, the committee met 114 days in 3 years, and every document presented and every word being spoken in between this discussion was recorded properly, and this recording is known as Constituent Assembly debates. It is available, these debates all are available in a printed format as 12 bulky volumes. So what are the guiding values of Indian Constitution? You might have, thought that this Constitution would involve Gandhiji, great Mahatma Gandhiji, but Mahatma Gandhiji was not involved in making of this Constitution, but he has those ideas, and they were being discussed by Mahatma Gandhiji and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So the philosophy of the Constitution is the Constitution begins with a very short statement of its basic value, which is called as the preamble to the Constitution, which is also in Hindi it is called as the Uddeshika or Prastavana, preamble of the Constitution. So the preamble is like the gist or summary of what is inside. So the preamble focuses on the justice. So what are the justice? Social, economic and political justice. Then the freedom or the liberty of thoughts, expression, belief, faith and worship, and the equality of status, equality of opportunity, and also fraternity, assuring the dignity of individual and the unity and integration of the nation. So here are some of the ideas being given by the great people. Like Jawaharlal Nehru said that, but I will read the idea of Constitution, what Gandhiji has in his mind. So Gandhiji said that I shall strive for a Constitution which will release India from all thraldom and patronage. I shall work for India in which the poorest shall feel that he is also doing something for the country, or he is a part of making a country. And India, where there is no high class, no low class, or no class distinction, and India which inhales all the communities with perfect harmony. And for untouchability, intoxication, drugs, there should be no place. Women and men should be equal. Women should enjoy all the rights as men. And Gandhiji finally said, I shall not be satisfied with nothing else than these. So then the philosophy of the Constitution, which is actually the preamble. So the Constitution begins with a very short statement, as I just suggested, of the basic values what the Constitution of India contains. And this is known as the preamble of the Constitution. So this is the preamble of the Constitution. As I said, preamble is the gist or summary of the Indian Constitution. So here are certain words being highlighted. This preamble is the soul of Indian Constitution. So it starts like this: we, the people of India. So what does it mean when we say we, the people of India? This means the Constitution has been drawn up and enacted by the people through their representative and not handed down to them by any king or any outside power. So this is all done by the people and their representatives. Then we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign. What is this sovereign? That is, people have supreme right to make decision on internal as well as external matter. No external power can dictate the government of India. Then socialist. This socialist means wealth is generated socially and should be shared equally by everyone, that is all society. Government should regulate the ownership of land, industry to reduce the socio-economic inequalities which are prevailing. Then comes the secular. This is a very important part. The citizens have complete freedom to follow any religion, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, any religion. But there is no official religion as a state of India. Government treats all religious beliefs and practices with equal respect. Then comes the democratic republic. So democratic means the form of government where people enjoy equal political rights, elect their rulers and hold them accountable also. That is, the rulers are answerable to the citizens. The government is running according to some basic rules. And to secure to all its citizens justice. Justice is, citizens should be or cannot be discriminated on the grounds of caste, creed, religion, gender. Social inequalities have to be reduced, and government should work for the welfare of all, especially for the disadvantaged or marginalized sector or groups. Here is one more word which we just talked about, is the republic. So republic comes here like this, that the head of the state is an elected person. He is not a hereditary person. He is an elected person by the citizen of the country, by the people of this country. Then comes the liberty. Liberty, social, economical and political. So liberty, there are no unreasonable restrictions on the citizen in what they way, or whatever they way they think, and how they wish to express their thoughts, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts in action. So liberty is this one, of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. Then the equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all. So equality is all are equal before the law, before the government. The traditional social inequalities have to be ended. The government should ensure equal opportunities for all. Now comes the fraternity. Fraternity assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of nation. This fraternity says all of us should behave as if we are members of the same family. So India is a country, but it should be considered as a family. So no one should treat a fellow citizen in any case as inferior. Now the last thing says in our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this constitution. This is the preamble or soul or gist or summary of our constitution. So when the constitution is made, or when it was being created, the options, or there were provisions of changes also. So the provisions to incorporate changes from time to time in this constitution. So these changes are called constitutional amendments. The Indian Constitution, as we already discussed, lays down a procedure for choosing person to govern the country. Who is going to govern the country? What are the ways? What are the rules to be followed? Procedure. It defines who will have how much power, who is going to take what decision, and it puts limits to what the government can do by providing some rights to the citizen that cannot be violated. So we discussed about various things in this discussion. Apartheid, we started the official policy of racial separation and ill treatment of blacks, followed by the government of South Africa between 1948 and 1989. A clause is a very distinct section of a document. Constituent Assembly, an assembly of people, representative, that writes a constitution for a country. So what is a constitution? Supreme law of country, containing fundamental rules governing the politics and society in a country. Constitutional amendment, that is the change or alteration in the constitution made by the supreme legislative body in a country. Then the draft. What is a draft? This is a preliminary version of legal document. Then philosophy, the most fundamental principles underlying one's thought and actions. Preamble, the introductory statement in a constitution which states reason and guiding values of the constitution. Treason, deshdroh, the offense of attempting to overthrow the government of the state to which the offender owes allegiance. Tryst, the meeting or meeting place that have been agreed upon. So this is all about this constitutional design. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.